Thank you, Tom. Next up, we have Senator Wilton Simpson. And I have to go off script just a little bit, and I want to say thank you because you may know this or you may not, but Senator Simpson is not our senator for this area, technically, but he does a lot for the Zephyrhills community and has been very instrumental in state appropriations that the city has received. $5.9 million for the airport runway extension, $2.3 million for the intersection improvements at 301 and Pretty Pond and 301 and Medical Arts Court. So thank you very much for your support of Zephyrhills and all of East Pasco. Senator Simpson is the president designate of the Florida Senate. He resides in Trilby with his wife, Kathy. Senator Simpson is an entrepreneur and owns Simpson Farms. If you've been to his house, it smells like money. That's what I was told the first time I walked out there. An egg-laying operation home to over 1 million chickens, providing eggs to Florida's families. In his free time, Senator Simpson loves to spend time with his 2 granddaughters, Addie and Emmy. Senator Simpson.
Yeah, it was like Mr. Gore's dairy smelled like money also. Very, very close cousins. But if you do want to ever have an area of the city or town that you don't want growth to happen on, if you build an egg farm, it probably is going to look very similar 30 years later. But anyways, it's an honor to be here this morning, and we have been very interested. I don't know how I got caught up in the bulldog stuff. You know, I'm a pirate, obviously, but I don't represent Dade City either. My district goes from basically Trilby to Citrus County, and a little bit of North Pasco County, but north of Dade City. And so anyways, but it's an honor to be here. And, you know, when I think about this coming year, yeah, I've served 8 years now. I have 2 left. We have a very challenging budget year coming. My 8 years that I have served, we've always had a surplus of resources. So then we just had to go fight to see how much we could bring to our region to help with our local infrastructure. This will be the first year I've served that we will actually have a lower budget than we did last year. Last year, your budget was almost $93 billion. This year, I suspect it'll be somewhere between 2 and 5 billion less than that, and probably closer to 5. So we have a lot of work to do this year, which is one reason why we've intentionally, as we have worked through Florida's infrastructure issues the last 8 years, done it such a business-friendly fashion. And to give you some examples, your state has been spending hundreds of millions of dollars over the last decade on ports, deep water ports, making sure that as the Panama Canal had more traffic and things were coming from that area, they could use Florida as a docking port instead of having to go further up the East Coast or Alabama or other states. 5-6 years ago, we cut the sales tax on manufacturing equipment in this state. And you would think, and that's a big deal. It cost us collectively about $80 million a year in recurring revenue to do that. But the idea is that I think it was at a Georgia Pacific plant there in Palatka a few years back, and they said, well, you know, our challenge is that we've got a $600-700 million expansion to do, and we don't know if we're going to do it in the Alabama, Louisiana area, or we're going to do it in Florida. And I asked them, what would cause you not to come to Florida? And the first one out of their mouth was sales tax. So when you think of sales tax on manufacturing equipment on $400 million worth of equipment, that's a really big number. And then there were some other things from a regulatory structure that it disadvantaged Florida over other states, and we took care of those that year also. And so when you think about how do you bring better paying jobs, it's going to be through having the right infrastructure. In the last 8 years, your DOT infrastructure has been minimally around $10 billion a year of state-funded projects, plus the FDOT of another $4 billion. As a legislature, we could sweep some of those dollars and redirect them in other areas, but we do not do that. We've been able to allow that infrastructure to continue, and it's something we're seeing a lot of in Pasco County. When you look at what's happening with 56 coming over to 301, that was a big win. That just didn't happen by accident. That was a lot of work, working with the county and DOT to make sure that happened. That was a major win. You know, water connections between Dade City and Zephyrhills, that was 7 or 8 years ago. We're losing track of some of them. But when you think of the things that we're doing in our region to promote our region, Clinton Avenue, which I know is just north of Zephyrhills, is going 98 getting 4-laned to Lakeland. I believe that will be done in less than the next 10 years. So you'll be able to get off the interstate and go all the way to I-4 with 4 lanes minimally. Highway 50, which is obviously North Pasco County, well, actually it's across the line in Hernando, will be 4 lane by 2027. That's already programmed. So when you think about commerce, you think about our rail line, and it's a common area here. And so every year on the Leadership Pasco bus, we drive through Zephyrhills and we talk about the rejuvenation of downtown. 8 years ago, I did actually a bill that said that if you have 3 stories or less in these small towns, the Florida building code would prevail over the fire code, because we have a lot of empty buildings and you can't get people to go in there because you don't want to spend $50,000-$60,000 on upgrading those systems so that you could rent a building. Now you don't have to do a lot of those things. We made that a little more common sense approach for these older communities like a downtown Zephyrhills or a downtown Dade City type setting. And by the way, we have those in every county in this state. Every county in the state's affected by that. You see the downtown dry up and everything moves south of town or north of town. And so we're proud of those type of accomplishments, which will obviously help with backfill. And when you're looking at going forward, the airport here, we drive by the airport and we talk about Skydive City and the jobs there. We always talk about lengthening the runway. And we were very proud of the fact that we had those resources a few years back, the nearly $6 million to have that project move forward. That will transform the area once you have that longer runway. When you think about advanced wastewater treatment facilities in our area, that's something that's very important. When you're thinking about septic to sewer programs, that's something that's very important for our region. And when you do those things, the entire property value food chain moves higher. When you're removing that nutrient load out of your water systems, we have to, if you think about 20 years from now, Florida's growing at about 1,000 people a day. In 2035, we'll probably have 25, 6, 7 million Floridians. Today it's around 22 million. And what's happening is all of your high tax states, all of your over-regulated states, those folks are voting with their feet. They're moving to Florida. And hopefully they'll vote differently on their ballots in November when they get here, right? But when you think about Florida, we're one of the lowest tax states in the union. And there are certain states we could probably never win because we don't have an oil reserve here to where we can give dollars away. But other than that, we have no state income tax. From a regulatory structure, we're one of the best states to do business in. We have one flaw on your state balance sheet that would keep the state of Florida restricted on how much dollars we can spend in the future, and that's the unfunded liability of our pension system. So right now it's about $25 billion. When the feds cut interest rates to 0 in March at the beginning of the pandemic, that really challenges that system on short-term rates. So it's going to gap. There will be a broadening of that unfunded liability to our pension system, and we have to deal with that. And we're spending about $700 million a year of your money to prop that system up. And so that's obviously that gap's going to get wider, and we're going to have to do something to shore that up, and we will. And so from a structural perspective, you would rather be Florida than any other state in the union from a balance sheet perspective. And I'll give you some examples. If you lived in the state of New York, and I use them because there are 19.5 million in population, we're 22 million in population. Their budget this year will be over $200 billion. Our budget will be way less than $100 billion, probably around $88 billion. We extract half of the taxes that they extract from their system to run their government versus our government. For that, we have less than $20 billion of debt. 10 years ago, we had $30 billion of debt. In the last decade, we have paid down over $10 billion of debt, and we've also reduced taxes by $10 billion also. So when you think about the state of Florida with 18 to 20 billion of debt, the state of New York has over $100 billion of debt with fewer people. So when you think about your credit rating of your state, the state of Florida has a AAA credit rating from all 3 agencies. New York's 8-9 notches down from AAA credit rating, and it moves, or we would be able to quote it. What's the difference in that? For about every 1 notch downgrade, your bond costs go higher. And now that we're down to 18 billion, it would cost you for every notch or two downgrade, about $180 million a year in interest going to the bondholders. So congratulations to the bondholders, but it would be your tax dollars that we would be throwing away by doing that. So structurally, we are in great shape. We're coming through this pandemic. That's going to be a major topic of this year. Therapeutic medicines are getting much better. We have the best pharmaceutical industry in the world. We like to beat up on them a lot, but when you have a pandemic or a major outbreak like this, we're very fortunate to have to be in, phase 3 trials of multiple vaccine options. So hopefully here by the first of the year, we'll have a vaccine. Hopefully by the middle of the year, it'll be widely available. But with the therapeutic medicines that we have now and the antivirals and things that are coming, we are in much better shape than clearly we were in March. We should not be in a situation where we have to re-shut down. I always encourage everyone to wear masks. We all wear them when we're in rooms, especially like this. And if you're wearing your mask, if you're washing your hands and doing the things that the CDC has described, then you're going to have a less chance of having COVID. Now, the good part is every week that goes by that you don't have it, the medicines are getting better and better. So if you have it 3 months from now, you're going to be in a hell of a lot better shape than you would be today. But you're in a hell of a lot better shape than you would have been in March if you'd have had it too, right? Because we understand it now. We understand how to treat it. And so anyways, things are getting better. Economic activity is picking up. And the last thing I would say is especially, and this was countrywide, but in the state of Florida, about 30% of our economy actually shut down because of COVID for 2 months. And when I say 30%, it's because all of agriculture stayed in business. You don't have farmers taking any days off. You have a farmer take a day off, grocery stores are going to run out of groceries. Truck drivers, first responders, healthcare providers, all of those essential businesses had to remain. Education, even though it had to go online for 2 or 3 months. Now we have combinations, right? We give parents choices. You can do it online or you can do it in a classroom. And so we are slowly ramping back up. Disney's open. They opened several months ago here in the state of Florida. In California, they still haven't opened. The sister park in California. Think about that for a second. And so we've been open here several months. As y'all heard, I have 2 grandbabies that's half bulldog and half pirate. The bulldogs invaded us. My son-in-law is a bulldog. But anyways, 2 wonderful grandbabies. We took them to Disney, and a very, very safe environment at Disney. And they've done a very good job. And they, of course, could do that in California, but their governmental system will allow them to do that. And so I tell you these things to, take it serious. Take COVID. The more serious you take COVID, the less likely you'll have to encounter it. And hopefully we'll have a vaccine here in 3 or 4 months, and that'll, give us the rest of it. And maybe most of us won't have had to went through it. But it's very serious for people with pre-existing conditions, comorbidity type situations, diabetes, and we're getting much better at treating those type of situations too. But take it serious, and the more serious we take it, the more our economy will flourish. I appreciate being here today. I will be happy to try to answer a few questions. I'm going to get everybody back on time by taking less time. The untypical politician, right? I'm going to take less time. And by the way, there's an election on November the 3rd, and you're going to have one of your own, I hope, representing this area. After November the 3rd, Danny Burgess is running for this seat, and we're very fortunate that he was willing to do that, and hopefully he'll be installed mid-November. Are there any questions? And by the way, tomorrow you can go see the Sarah Vandenberg Tennis Center at 10 a.m., the unveiling of that, which we're very proud of. So anyways, are there any questions? Well, we are really back on time now. Thank y'all for having me here this morning.